Hi, my name is Thibaut and I'm the CEO and founder of Sales Labs. And in this quick video, I'm going to explain you why you should not pitch in your outreach. So it's part of the T-shaped sales development accelerator, which is an 8-week program where I take tech salespeople and teach them how to grow their network, build problem-centric content, and then do some warm outreach. And I'm going to talk about the main problem we see in pitching in outreach. So think about the last time you received a cold email, or cold like your LinkedIn request, and think about, the last time when someone tried to sell you something directly. How did you react? Most likely you ignored the request or you got really annoyed and blocked the person. The thing is, whenever you are pitching in your outreach, you are doing a big mistake for 3 reasons. The first one is that your prospects care about themselves. The last thing they want to hear is a pitch. The second one is a pitch has a very recognizable structure. It's both like a visual and auditory. So if you actually are pitching, you're the brain of the person who receives the pitch will directly recognize that as a pattern and then completely discard it. So that's why you need to build some kind of pattern interrupts in your outreach, but we're going to come later to that. Then pitching is something you have to earn. So whenever you go directly and start pitching immediately, you just like bypass all the steps in human psychology where you have to build rapport, to build trust, and then earn the right to actually start and talk about what you have to say. So you really have to start asking questions to do that, to be able to kind of get this trust and earn this trust. So I've actually made a very simple 3-step checklist that you can download below. It's very simple. The first one is what you have to do is to work on finding triggers. A trigger is an indication, so it's a public information that indicates that your prospects may have a problem you can solve. So it can be something, there's tons of different triggers. I have a podcast episode with Mark Colgan about that, on how to find triggers. It's episode 23 of the B2B Sales podcast. So go and check this one. And so in terms of triggers, here's a few examples. So whenever you have a prospect that is liking or commenting on a different post, you can use that as an excuse or as a good way to get in touch with this person. So it could be something like, hey, first name. So you also like the post of second name. If you're into it, I have 2 tips I'd love to share. That's a trigger, for example. You have like the profile views. So if you're posting regular content, people will start landing on your profile, and then you can use this as an excuse to get in touch. Say, hey, so you watched my LinkedIn profile. I'm curious, what were you looking for? Did you find what you were looking for? Very, very efficient. And then you have a last one, which is really working on actually podcast recordings. So you have, let's say, C-level VPs, people who are often, high level. They will actually have podcast interviews or webinars or recordings of events where they were talking. So you can go look for that, look for some specific thing that is relevant to what you're selling or that is relevant to what you believe, and then you're going to be able to use that as a trigger. That's very important. The second thing is, once you have this trigger, don't go and vomit your pitch. You have to start teasing. So instead of saying and providing all the information in the world, get people curious about what you have to say. So I talked about it a bit earlier. I say, hey, first name. So your LinkedIn profile or your LinkedIn banner actually could benefit from 2 major improvements that would help you to actually reduce the missed opportunities you're having. If you're into it, I'd love to share 2 tips on how you can solve that. That could be an example. So that's really the idea, is just to create a cliffhanger where you're showing something, you're providing value to your prospect by showing that you've done your homework. So showing them that you've checked their banner and there's something they can do with it. And then you say, instead of providing the solution, you say, if you want the solution, get back to me, and then you'll answer. When you do that, you really tease the people, you tease their curiosity. And the second thing you do, you show you have a clear understanding of their business problem. And so that's really something that is really nice and relevant for a prospect. And finally, you finish with the soft call to action. So instead of saying, can we talk tomorrow? Take a time in my calendar. Oh my God, this one, I hate it. When people say, take a time in my calendar, it's like immediately you see a link, you discard it. So instead of saying that, you say, are you interested in learning more? This is based on study by gong.io. There's a really nice blog post by Devin Reed about that. By the way, Devin Reed approved what I'm saying here in one of my posts. So it's something that works really well. The are you interested in learning more is a great call to action to use there. So to summarize, find triggers, tease, and finish with a soft call to action. If you want to learn more and apply that, there's a checklist you can download way below in there. So if you're on the YouTube channel, you can actually go in the comments and download the checklist. if you're on the website, you can click on the button, download the checklist, and you're going to be able to access it and see how you can fix things and make sure you're actually doing a good outreach and not pitching in your outreach. Because remember, one thing, the main goal of your outreach is not to get like a book discovery calls or meetings, but it's to get an answer. And when you get an answer, that's when you go and work on build on booking these discovery calls.